sport fans watching around the world. This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Let's get straight into the episode.
Yeah, we heading for the sun. Charlie got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stun. Oh, living lively. Everybody.
Alright, y'all. Today's a Monday, and Monday's off for Docs. Thank you for clicking or tapping, and let's start today's spew. And guys, you've read the title of the video, you already know what this is. It's episode 100, and today, it's just me. This is my first time trying something like this, so bear with me. I'm not sure if I'm going to get it all in one straight scene, or if I'm going to have to chop and cut some of the bullshit out of it, where I don't really know what I'm going to say, but episode 100, and this is it. I've always wanted to do something like this, as I said, so I figured no better place to give it a go. Now, this wasn't the original plan for episode 100. In fact, episode 100, the plan has changed quite a few times. The most recent attempt at episode 100 was a plan to try and get a different group of lads over every day for an entire week. Let me just adjust this camera real quick. Yeah, anyway. So the plan was to get a different group of lads over every day for a week with a whole different vibe based on which group of lads coming on. Say, for example, Sunday or Monday, whenever I started, I was going to try and do a 30 to 45 minute segment with a group of lads who were all familiar with each other, switch it up with an entire different group of lads for the second day, continue that same process for a week. I planned it for a week, ended up getting about 8 to 9 days in total trying to squeeze everyone in, and I actually did it. That's what this last week has been. This last week has been a total head fuck to operate and try and squeeze together, but it has been exactly what I wanted it to be. It's been an absolutely amazing week. Unfortunately, it's not going to be the episode. I would have loved it to have been, but every mistake that could possibly have gone wrong just happens to have gone wrong this week. So hard drives have had their issues. There's been track separation issues, microphone, audio inputs just aren't registering. Like, there's been quite a few, quite a few mistakes, and they've happened all different occasions over the entire week. And yeah, I've got the camera versions of it and some of the audio that works. And it was not a 30 to 45 minute episode a day. To be honest, the shortest day was about a 2.5 hour recording. So there was a lot going on, but after going back and editing it, it's not something that I think is a good enough quality of something to put out there. So to everyone who did come on, I do apologize, but I promise you that what would have been the episode would not have been something you would have enjoyed watching, nor anyone that came to see the episode because of you would have enjoyed watching it either. It was not to any quality of standard. The conversations were all amazing, but as a host, I didn't do a good job of capturing that moment. That given said, even though I'm trying to do this episode alone now, despite the efforts that were made this week by everyone, I do not feel like this week was a waste. This was one of the most fucking fun, fantastic weeks I've had in a very long time, and podcast-wise, this was the best week I've ever had doing it. I had days where lads were just ripping into each other, complete banter, giving shout-outs to the cameras and ripping the boys apart that didn't show up for it. I've had people come into a room that I haven't seen in a very long time and put them into a room with other lads that haven't seen each other either. There's been days when we've absolutely torn any political or religious belief system down to its core and embarrassed each other for even thinking of the ideas in the first place that were coming out of our mouth. And there's been days when me and the lads have actually gone in on an investment plan together and decided to set ourselves up as a team moving forward from that point. Some days we got deep and we got vulnerable. Like, it was a whole bunch of different vibes. So to anyone who was a part of it, I don't feel like it was a waste, and I genuinely hope you don't either. It was one of the most fun weeks I can think of in a very long time, if not ever, realistically. So before I get into today's yarn, to everyone who did come on this week, let me check everything's on. Something's probably not. So everyone who did come on this week, thank you. Thank you very much. Like, I know you all gave me your time, and you gave me your time for the episode, and I'm not able to deliver it on my end, but I'm very thankful. I'm very, very appreciative for the effort everyone made collectively getting together, let alone coming over and talking shit for a couple of hours, you know. I really do thank you all for what has been such a dope week. And thank you to everyone else as well, okay? This is episode 100, all right? I know that a number on a screen, even a low number like 100, it's just a number. It's especially when you just see something in a title of a video, like you don't think of what that number could represent. And I'm probably going to ramble and yarn about that a bit through this episode, but I didn't get here because I worked hard or tried or stayed consistent, or I didn't get here because it was my favorite thing to do or my hobby or my dream. Like, that's not how I got to episode 100. I've been thinking about this, and I really mean this. I only got to episode 100 because everyone that has come on the podcast before has allowed me to get to episode 100. This is my first time talking to the camera. If I wanted to be on episode 100 talking to the camera, I could have been there in 100 days. But I wanted to start a podcasting journey of finding the gems inside of conversations with someone different every week. And without the people to give me that week's episode, episode 2 couldn't have happened. Damo, you're always going to give me episode 1, so I love you for that. But episode 2 could have happened. And 3, yeah, boys, I understand. But it's like everyone is to thank for this episode. And I really mean it. I've been allowed the opportunity to feel the pride and the gratification of 100 weeks. So to every friend, family member, mutual suggestion, everyone that I've reached out to and accepted, and everyone who's asked to come on and has, like, I thank you all for the time you've come over and given me as a gift, and the position of allowance in letting me upload that. You know, I hope I did my best to put everyone in as best of light as possible. But I really mean it when I say thank you to everyone so far. And thank you to everyone who has just been a part of this journey yet. Whether you've just been someone who stumbled upon an episode that has a friend in it, or someone you know in it, or an ex-girlfriend or an ex-boyfriend, or any reason you've had to come along this journey and participate in any amount of time to watch. Thank you for that too. It's a pretty crazy thing, you know, to know that people are listening to you when you're not with them. It is a weird thing. The statistics you get on YouTube show you that people listen on their phones or computers or laptops or TVs, and where they listen from, and how many people have continued to watching from a certain amount of videos onwards, and how long people watch for, and a percentage duration of the video, and like all the analytics you could ever want are there. So I see it all. And it's not something that I hold value to from a sense of self-worth, but that doesn't mean I'm not grateful for it. So to anyone who happens to be listening to this episode, and anyone who doesn't, if you've been a part of this journey, thank you. This journey's been fucking insane. It's I don't even think I'm going to be able to get out the thoughts that I try and want to get out during this solo mission, because they just go on and on and on. But I'll try and get through some of them. I'll try and get through some of the things I've learned through doing the process, and some of the things I didn't expect to have learned, and things I'm excited for moving forwards, and why I do it, and what it is to me, and what it's done for me. And there's a lot, to be honest. If you know me, then you know that it's pretty much like the number one thing I do outside of working or sleeping. I try not to bore people with it in my everyday conversations unless people ask, because it's like, for anyone that loves anything, people just don't want to hear him talk about it. It's just a cruel, unjust fact of life, to be honest with you. But when people are actively engaging in the content, I feel like I've got all ears listening to be able to rave and rant. So what it is a pretty obvious thing, the Doxcast. It doesn't take any thought power to work out what it is. It's a channel on YouTube that I host with a once a week podcast episode. That's what the Doxcast is. All right. But what it is to me, which it was never intended to be this in the beginning, but what I have realized it is now, and I don't know if anyone has any idea it is this, but this is my diary. You know, this is my journal that I write in once a week. This is where I come to let things out that I'm just spontaneously thinking of, or even work on things that I've been trying to digest in my own life. Like I really do use this as a venting place and a place just sometimes to get out whatever it is that's on my mind. I'll get to, having the guest here as well. It's obviously different. But what the Doxcast is it's everything that's happening internally being expressed externally. It's my, if you've heard me say it multiple times before, it's my weekly therapy session. I've said it on countless episodes. I have counseling once a week. I have a therapist for 100 weeks now, and it's been free. Aside from the fucking bullshit I've spent building the cunt, but yeah, it was never originally that. It was just a place in the beginning where I just, try and think of anything to say. Like I didn't have a structure or a plan or an intention. I was winging it a lot. I was actually asking Google for a lot of help in the beginning, things to ask people. If you remember if anyone who was here for the first dozen or couple dozen episodes, we had a would you rather segment in every single one. I had no idea what conversational skills sounded or looked like or felt like to take place on. I've learned a lot of lessons through doing so. But yeah, in the beginning it was just, fuck, what do you say when the mics are on? When the camera's pointed at you, how do you keep the conversation going? What makes this fun? And it looked like that in the beginning, and that's because that's exactly what it was. And I'm glad it was that. I'm glad it looks like that, because that's how it felt. And to see my own, perspective of comparing episode 1 to episode 99, there's fucking levels inside of it. There's layers inside of that. The ways it has improved from my own feeling of satisfaction without the views and the numbers and and the attention and the engagement and all the things that big podcasts do eventually over time. Just in terms of content that I'm putting out there, I'm noticing a lot of levels, and the ladder is continuously getting longer the more I go up it. There's a lot of things that I'm noticing now, like, fuck, I've got so far to go down this little branch and avenue of information. Like, for everything that I am improving on, there's a lot more that I'm not. And that's fun to work that out. And that just excites me too, because comparing what it was in the beginning to what it is now is crazy. When I have got, it's not just an external view of what's happening internally. It's also the other way around as well. You know, this is a place for me to take everything outside that's happening in my real world and come and digest it internally and actually talk about it. It's not just what's happening inside and trying to get it out. It's also trying to take in the other way around, you know. And when I've been dealt situations or circumstances have occurred in real life, I have someone to talk about that with. You know, that's fucking, it's unbelievable. My friends are always going to be there, but also hearing a subjective view on a stranger's opinion on something that they don't even understand what I'm referencing is so beneficial. That's crazy. So that's what it is. If you haven't noticed already, this is my diary, okay? The Doxcast is my journal. Balancing that act, only discovering it to be that in the last 3 to 6 months, also I have to take into account there's a guest here as well. So what I've tried to turn this platform into from a guest perspective, to want to give them, or to let them grant me the position to have them come on. Realistically, that's what it is. But in order for me to feel like it's something that I can accept, having their presence on my channel, what I want is to offer something with more value than that. And I want to offer them a position and platform to be able to paint them in whatever light they want to be painted in, to get out whatever it is that they want to get out. The majority of people that have been coming on over the last, 30 episodes or so have been people that I've been reaching out to, and they usually all do content on their own, whether it be in the form of podcasting or fitness or business or just lifestyle choices or comedy or spirituality. Like, there's been some pretty awesome, amazing guests that have come on, and because they all do some form of online presence, I just want to be able to give them a space to cook. Just let me just say what I need to say when I need to say it, so you can take it away. And that's a weird skill as a host. It's a weird thing to learn how to do. I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it, definitely so. But the skills you learn as a host constantly change and evolve. When you are responsible for someone else's presence in your company, you learn what it's really like to set a room. You learn what it's really like to orchestrate a conversation. You know what buttons to press and what buttons not to press based on an emotional response you feel like they're comfortable with expressing. It's cool, man. And it's been fucking very beneficial in my everyday life as well, whether it be at work or whether it be talking to chicks when you're out, or even the cold approach in person, like whether it be for business or for relationships or for friendship, or setting a room with instantaneous go, cameras are on, is actually a fucking awesome skill that I've learned, that I didn't intentionally set out to learn. And I'm not great at it. by any means, do not think that I'm going to talk about how great I've become and how I've just evolved into this fantastic human. But from where I was to where I am now, I've noticed a massive difference. And that is only because when I started, it was at 0. So if I'm only at, if the max is 1 million and I was at 0, for me just to be at 50 is still a massive leap from 0, you know? It's crazy. I actually put up a story on Instagram saying if anyone wants to ask questions, feel free. So to be honest, if I run out of room or run out of things to talk about, I will get to all those questions that everyone's asked me to. So for everyone that has, I appreciate that. But yeah, it's been cool, you know, hosting a channel for so long. I say so long, and it's only something that I say now because I've heard it before. In the beginning, people would say, when it would come up in conversation, oh, you've been doing podcasting, that's cool. How long have you been doing it for? And in the beginning, I remember being like, I've done it for 22 weeks in a row, you know, like, and I remember the time feeling like that's a lot. That's 22 weeks in a row I've been doing this for. And then after 37 weeks in a row, it's like, then it was like, wow, I've almost doubled 22 now. 52 weeks in a row, the 1 year, I've been doing it for 1 year consecutively. Like that was a good moment. But to be honest, now that I'm at episode 100, it's almost been, by the time this comes out, we're a couple weeks off that 2 year mark. It doesn't feel like a long time at all anymore. Like I remember a consistent grind and a stress-fueled environment week after week of trying to line up a time that suited someone I knew, recording it, uploading it, going through my long process of fuck all YouTube help because there was time I didn't have in the beginning. Like I just knew what I needed to know and I just got to work the way I knew how to do it. And by the time I rendered it, processed it and uploaded it to YouTube, by the time that thing processed up to HD, which is, you know, it was like, fuck, what am I going to do for this week? And then it became another couple day adventure of trying to find some time that lined up with someone. And I just blew a bubble with spit and it fucking flew away. I don't know if anyone else could see that. And yeah, for months and months and months, I remember feeling this grind. Like it felt like work. It really did. And somewhere along the way, it just didn't feel like work anymore. I've still got the same process. I've still got the same effort being placed into finding people. And in fact, now I'm trying to find them in advance for a month ahead if possible. I'm trying to line shit up now in, what are we in? We're just about to start August. I'm already trying to find guests for October and November, and I'm trying to secure those dates. So yes, I'm still trying to lock in next week and the week after and follow them up. And there'll be one that I've got to do in the next couple of days as well. But realistically, my workload has become bigger. I'm spending more time doing extra things now when it comes to quality or clips or things like this. And I still got to edit it all. But somewhere along this journey has stopped feeling like a grind. It's the weirdest realization that this is just part of my life. You know? I don't know if I could compare it to anything else other than maybe when you first get out of school, and I'm reaching for straws here because I don't really remember this feeling, but when you first get out of school and you start working a full-time job for the first time, and any of the lads who have done construction, you'll completely understand this. If you work construction and then you have the opportunity to start doing Saturdays, only having 1 day off a week in the beginning feels like, man, I've worked so much this week. I've got fuck all downtime. But after 6 months to a year of doing Saturdays, it doesn't feel like you've worked that much this week. So I'm trying to remember, and I don't remember, that if in the beginning when I left school and started working as a full-time employee now in the real world, if it felt like I was working a lot at the time because I've had a sudden work overload. But now that I've been working for fucking almost 10 years in the trade, it doesn't even feel like I work. I go to work, but it doesn't feel like I've worked. And the lads who are taking the piss out of me, I do work, trust me, but that grinding period doesn't exist. It just happens to be part of my routine. Like, it doesn't feel like effort to walk around all day, but that doesn't mean you didn't walk around all day. It just doesn't feel like effort after a while. And that's what the podcast is now. It's crazy, and I never noticed it until really, really recently. But it's not something that involves effort, and it's not something that involves grind. And playing on that note, lately I've been thinking that maybe that's something that is allowing room for improvement. Maybe it should feel like a grind. Maybe I'm not taking on enough workload. Maybe that's ways in which I can improve. And I will put a bit more thought power into that. But yeah, it's a crazy thing now to feel happy that I've reached as far as episode 100. But in the beginning, to think that I would eventually be 100 episodes in was like, man, that's going to feel fucking unreal. Like, then I'll feel a level of accomplishment. Like, I've fucking been working for this long. But now that I'm here, it just doesn't feel like that. Doesn't mean I'm not appreciative because of the effort everyone else has put in to be a part of it. But it's not what I thought it would be. You know, it's a weird thing. But yeah, I've always wanted to give it a go doing this solo podcast thing. So depending on how I feel by the end of it will depend on whether it be a side adventure that I start to go down or not. But it's also a nice way to kind of get some thoughts out as well. Now, I have been thinking about this as well, so I thought I'd share it on this episode. That I love being on camera. All right, I love talking. I love telling stories. I love the whole aspect of content creation and the YouTube and things like this. But it was not who I was growing up at all. Like, I was a very fucking insecure kid, I guess you could say, but I just hated photos and videos and any form of speaking. I could speak in my circle of friends, you know, my school group or my after school group or crews that I'd hang around with, and I've never had a problem speaking intimately and short and small amounts of people, even with the missus at the time. But as soon as I had an opportunity to speak in front of people, forced, this was involuntarily, I would never suggest to do it. We'd have like our compulsory public speaking days. I remember them from primary, even high school maybe we did them. I can't remember, but I definitely remember the feeling in primary school. And I would freak the fuck out. If I knew people were listening to me, it would, like, I guess looking back, it might have been anxiety. I'd never noticed or put a word to it at the time. I just knew I didn't like it. But if this is what anxiety is for some people, like, you'd feel really cold and really hot at the same time, you know, like almost like an ice cream in the sun is a good way to describe how I'd feel, I guess. Just fucking cold to the point of shivering on the inside, but so hot you're starting to sweat on the outside. Anyway, that's how I'd feel speaking. I remember even when we'd have to take turns of reading in class, like a fucking chapter of a book or some bullshit. You'd count, I'd count, I'm pretty sure other people have too, I've seen memes about it, but you'd count how many people were in front of you, and then you'd count how many paragraphs it was until your turn, and I'd revise. And even then, when it got to me, it was like, nah, can't. Like, I just do not read. Sorry, Brad. Teacher's like, Doxy, you're up, and I'm like, that's where you're wrong, man. Like, this ain't for me. Like, I just couldn't do it. And yeah, cameras on the other side of things as well was just like, I've been thinking about it as well. I think, how do I get this out? So, if you know me at all, you'd know I'm fucking delusional as fuck. Like, I will believe whatever the fuck I want to believe and no one will change my mind on it. Like, it's a beneficial tool in my life and I wouldn't choose to live it any other way. Why believe in the truth if it sucks when you can just live in denial, like, realistically? So, growing up, I would create this version of myself. I remember doing it from as young as I can remember, where I walked around with, my head held high, my chest forward, and never had a problem with eye contact. But it wasn't really from a place of confidence. It was more from this delusional aspect, because this is going to sound very egotistical when I say it, but an example would be like if someone called me ugly, I would just, it wouldn't affect me because I would just think they're wrong, like realistically. And that does sound as egotistical as I thought it would, but let's just say 100 people voted on the ugly kids and the good looking kids, for example, and they put me with the ugly kids. This is still going to sound egotistical, but I would just think all those kids are wrong. How can I explain it differently than that? Because I know that just sounds confident, but okay, so the reason why I hated cameras and shit is because when I seen myself back, when someone took a photo or a video or whatever it was for, my delusion has been broken. I can actually see myself the same way everyone else can now, and I didn't like it. And the truth is now in front of me, and I would actually shut it off, pretend I didn't, like, I would say, I know I saw it, I couldn't cut it out from my memory, but I would just choose to believe, oh, no, that's just a bad angle or something, that's it. And I would continue to walk around with you're going to understand the delusion in a minute, my imaginated version of myself, all right? And that's what gave me my walk, my talk, my chameleon aspect of fitting in wherever I need to fit in, because like I just imagined myself being what I wanted myself to be. And I didn't like cameras because I didn't want those fucking curtains of truth to unveil. So I avoided it at all costs. Now, when I first had to take the camera recordings and microphones and all this shit and actually upload them onto my editing program for the first time, I got to see myself properly for the first time, and today I love watching myself on camera. I swear to God, I've grown into a fucking cocky cunt for it. But in the beginning days, I promise you, I would fast forward through myself talking when it was my turn. And when it was the guest's turn to talk, on Mum's, I would mute my camera so I couldn't see. I would enable it. I would just have my guest's camera view playing, and then I would just cut out my section of it. And it wasn't until I had to find a fucking 10, 15, 30-second minute clip, whatever it was back then, is I would just watch and keep that bit. But for the first at least 6 episodes, I didn't even watch myself because I didn't like it, okay? And it has grown now into, if someone has a camera, I'm smiling for it, Like, if someone wants to make a video, how do you want me to dance? Like, I love it now. And even speaking, I went from not wanting a room full of 20 kids that I've shared a classroom with for fucking 10 months to hear what I have to say on a fucking 3-minute subject that I know no one cares about, including me. I went from hating that feeling to wanting to do speeches, to actively engage in the idea of wedding toasts or best man speeches or presentations or meetings, or I actually love that feeling now of speaking, because I've grown into it. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I kind of know how I've grown into it too, you know? Like, I guess when I first started to watch myself edit, when I would first edit and watch myself, like, I would notice the things that I never noticed before. It was actually like meeting someone for the first time in a weird way. I think a lot of people don't realize this feeling because they don't like seeing themselves back on camera either. And I think that weird feeling is because it's very similar to being presented someone in your face that you don't know. And because it's yourself and you know it is, you judge yourself really hard, really quickly. And I know I did. I judged the fuck out of myself. I was like, I noticed the way I fidget, the way I talked, the way I looked, the way I sat on my fucking chair when I was in the old room. That used to piss me off, watching myself sit. I noticed my lack of communication skills. I noticed my lack of eye contact. I would just pick me apart. And yeah, it felt like shit to feel it, but I couldn't help but doing it. But it was also because I wasn't familiar with myself at all. But then I guess I just started to change the things I didn't like because I didn't want to be judged by myself. You know, I was my own critic and I was also trying to be my own presenter, you know, at the same time. So if I noticed things I didn't like the way I would fucking scratch or the way I would fucking rub my hands on my knees or all these little mannerisms or aneurysms, whatever the actual fucking word is. I don't know it now. Don't tell me. I would never want to know. I started to improve on all these things intentionally, and obviously I would have started to do things unintentionally too. And even if I didn't, I at least just became familiar with myself through this entire process. And I was no longer cringing at a shock value of something that caught me by surprise. I now knew exactly who I was about to be spending the next 8 hours with. He was someone I'm familiar with. And in a weird way, and I've actually been playing on this concept as well, I think I became friends with myself through this process too. Because now I actually do enjoy spending that time editing, you know, and sometimes because I can't remember what it was that we were saying by the time I go back and edit it, I'm not just curious on what the guests were talking about, I'm curious about what I was talking about too. And sometimes I'm even like, shit, boy, I'm actually going to take that on as advice. Like, that was not too bad. You know, I've said it on the podcast before, but every now and then I'll just, holy shit, where the fuck did that come from, you know? So yeah, I've gone from being a complete stranger that I didn't like to being someone who's definitely overly cocky. And sorry for being rude. I'm just quickly going to read this text message. It doesn't make it. It's not important. And yeah, I've become a cocky cunt for it, but I say that because I'm proud of myself for making this transition, you know, from insecurity to confidence without the delusional need. Doesn't mean I'm not delusional. I am one fucking delusional motherfucker. Really, I am. Try and upset me, you're wrong. Like, doesn't matter what it is. Yeah. Yeah, but it's cool. But yeah, I've been playing on this idea of becoming friends with yourself for a while and trying to befriend yourself. I'm actually going to put it into practice. By the time this episode comes out, it will be my first proper attempt of practice with it. I think it's something that, for me, takes a little bit of prep for. But the easiest example I can try and give on this would be everyone's aware that we don't always stay the same person. We actually do change over time. If you look back, it could be a month, a week, a year, a decade. You know you're not the same person. You don't make the same choices. You don't act the same. You don't live most of the time in the same place. So because you know how different you are now to when you were, you know you're going to grow into someone different again later. But I don't think people are actually aware at how quickly and often they do change and go back and forward between multiple versions of themselves. I look at myself like I am multiple people sharing the same vessel, and it's easy. I'll just describe myself with present me, past me, and future me. It's an easy way to describe it. I think there's deeper versions of it. I might, but I'm going to try not to go too deep into the idea because I haven't fully thought it out. But if someone says something to you and you've had a good day, you'll react differently to on a day when you haven't had much sleep. That's two different versions of you. You know, that's a version of you with a full belly, and there's versions of you who hasn't nutted in a month. You know, like there's different versions of us living, sharing the same vessel. And when you act reactively to certain things, you're letting one of those versions of you take control instead of consciously putting your foot down as the leader of every version of yourself and presenting who you want to present. So it's a deeper thought that I haven't tried to figure out yet, but the past me, present me, and future me is something that I've played on lately. And I've always had this concept, but lately I've been thinking of it as the version of me who goes to bed is not the version of me who wakes up. Ever. All right? Sometimes when I go to bed, I swear to God, I feel like taking over the world. Like I have this fucking plan in motion. I'm going to set my alarm early, wake up, get shit done. From the moment my eyes pop open, I'm on go, right? I believe it. I tell myself I'm going to do this because I fucking deserve it. And I'm capable of it. I believe it. I am actually going to do it. And then I go to bed, and then as soon as I open my eyes, I'm like, why the fuck would I get out of bed, cunt? I'm so comfortable, right? Like I don't care. I don't care if there's the smell of pancakes starting to elevate me from my bed. That still won't get me out of the blankets. And that's crazy. And I just hit snooze until I'm fucking late and to wherever I have to be. Like, I'm not the same fucking guy. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and befriend myself the same way I've became friends with myself through doing the podcast from past version of me till now. Because I'll get to this in a second, because I haven't finished on this first thought, but when I was younger, probably between the ages of let's say 12 and 14, anything between that, me and my best mate, Luke, shout out to Luke Mount, we would, hang on. Pardon me. Me and Luke would want to be getting into, let's just say, dumb shit, to say the least, you know. And, all right, let's just say what it was. We'd either want to be getting drunk, getting stoned, jigging school, sneaking into somewhere, breaking into a shopping centre, whatever the fuck we wanted to do. We were stupid kids, all right? We weren't bad kids. We would never want to steal anyone's shit or hurt anyone. We just wanted to have fun. And, you know, like any logical individual, we would weigh up consequences to a lot of the shit we wanted to partake in. And it would be like, fuck, we got to wake up early for school tomorrow. We probably shouldn't stay up and get drunk tonight at the park. Or you know, mum's going to be pretty pissed off if we get caught doing this. Or what if we get caught by the cops or a security guard or whatever it is. We'd weigh up a lot of consequences, and to be honest, it would fucking annoy us a lot because it would prevent us from having fun. I know that sounds stupid, but we would have the guilt of knowing that it's going to be our problem later, and it would prevent us doing a lot of. And yeah, I guess knowing now that's a fucking logical, realistic way to live your life. But as a fucking 13-year-old kid, it doesn't fucking help when you just want to have fun. So what we ended up doing was finding a loophole to our equation. Whenever we wanted to have fun and we knew it was going to cause us grief later, and a good example would be like we wanted to go out to a party. It was fucking 3 trains and a 45-minute walk to get there. We didn't really even have phones yet, to be honest. And we knew once we get there, we're not getting home. We know we're not. We have no way to get home. Our train app, Trip Light, was like last train's at fucking 11:45, and we're gonna get there at 10:50. So, anyway, what we do in our moment is we would tell ourselves, well, that's future Jake and future Luke's problem. And then we got to do whatever the fuck we wanted because it was no longer our problem. We, as present versions of us, got to have as much fun as we wanted because it was future Jake and future Luke's issue. And it actually worked, realistically. We got out of it guilt-free a lot. And when consequences caught up and we either felt fucking sick after our night out or we couldn't get home or we got in trouble, the present versions of us always had the same response. Fuck past Jake and fuck past Luke. Those fucking selfish, self-centered, inconsiderate fuckheads with no concern as to how we would feel. Past Jake and past Luke and fuckers suck off. And it was funny. It happened a lot. It was a constant reoccurring thing, but it was like we genuinely meant that, you know, without being as deep and introspective, I guess, at the age we were. It was just saying it and feeling it. We hated the past versions of ourselves for constantly having fun, and present versions of us, even then hating past versions of us, still had no fucking care for the future versions of us because that's not us, bro. And there was never a relationship between us to ourselves. It was only momentary indulging or momentary satisfaction or instant gratification. That's all it was at all times ever. And it constantly landed us in bad situations. And by no means of the imagination am I trying to preach that this was logical. I know this was just delusion. All right. But I guess looking back now, what I didn't know I was doing is I was learning how to hate myself because I was never friends with myself. Past version of me was a fuckhead. Future version of me can jog on. So I never got along with myself. And I guess in a way I'd never trusted myself to make good decisions. So what practices would I have in place to ensure that a future version of myself can benefit from it? I have no regrets through this whole process. Realistically, I had a lot of fun growing up. I got very fortunate, very fortunate. And yeah, I had to suffer consequences and shit, but like that's, you know, you lay in the bed you make. I guess that's the saying. Anyway, recently having this whole mindset of multiple versions and past, present, and future versions, and realizing that I'd become familiar and to the point of friendly with myself and being comfortable with myself now, it's a whole new feeling, and I really do try and live presently for a better version of myself later. He's going to be grateful. Now, I completely lost my train of thought because my phone was ringing, but it had something to do with, yeah. So what I'm going to do is when I And I'm going to try it out, and I'm happy for anyone to, ask me how it went. But when I go to bed, I'm actually going to ask permission for the person that wakes up to be friends. I'm going to try and make a plan for an early start and a productive morning of no procrastinating and not checking my phone and not eating junk food. And what I'm going to do momentarily to try and set future version of me up, when I get to that version, to stop me from indulging or breaking my plan or falling off the course, is when I make my plan, I'm going to ask future version of me, aka the version of me who wakes up, for a hand in friendship. And when I wake up, I'll choose to accept it or not. And for me, it's going to take a little bit of preparation for the next couple days until this video is probably uploaded. Hopefully by then the plan's already started, but I want to really set up a good structured routine before I dive deep into this philosophy, because I don't want to fuck it up. I want to really give it a go. But in my head, it's kind of a logical solution to a lot of my procrastinating and time wasting, and because I fuck around a bit. I like to consider myself to be a busy person, but I definitely waste time and don't stick to everything that I say that I'll stick to, So yeah, we'll give that a go. But yeah, it's just making me. It just makes me believe the idea will work more when I think about the fact that when I first started putting myself onto my computer to look at and watch and edit for the first time, I was, without realizing it, I wasn't thinking this way at the time, but what I was doing is I was actually reaching out my hand. I was reaching out to my hand from present me to future me to the judge. And then when I became future me, and future me is now present me, and I am the judge of myself. After that back and forward of that because initially when it first happened, I remember judging myself so hard, because it wasn't, as I said, the first time I've really had to experience it in my life. I remember that moment of being like, I don't know if I'm willing to endure this. If this is how I feel about myself, how do other people feel about me as well? And I did that whole back and forward bullshit game that I guess a lot of people do deep for the wrong reasons. But I remember thinking in that moment, I might not do this, And I guess looking back, if I had have made that decision not to go down this journey, I could have justified that to myself. It was a harsh reality to be hit with, the hammer of truth. But I only had two options, really. I guess I could have either willowed away in the fucking shadows of delusion and hidden in that imagination world I was in of not confronting myself, or I could have just accepted it, listened to the criticism and taken it as constructive, and do exactly what I did. Posted it anyway, and I can put the SD card back in, recorded it again. That's the decision I made in that moment. And I guess moving forward, what I didn't realize I was doing is I was reaching out my hand of friendship to the judge of myself. And then when I was in that moment and I started to improve on the things I didn't like, I guess I actually reached out back and we decided to go on this journey together. Now that I say that, bro, it's given fucking... What's that fucking movie called? Split. It's given Split. It's full given Split, cunt. Bro, that's fried. Anyway, let's give it a go, hey? Let's give that a go. I was saying before something about skills. So some of the skills that I didn't expect to be learning along this journey was... Honestly, the biggest skill I've learned so far in doing this is just learning how to shut the fuck up when someone else is talking. The saying is we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we need to learn how to fucking count, because I am a chatterbox. I just yawn. I have done it hundreds of times until the sun comes up. Like, I love talking. You know what I love? I fucking love arguing. I love it when someone believes in something so much that nothing can change their mind, so that I can argue them because I love talking that much. Like, conversations is my favorite thing in the world. Anyway, I was saying something about learning to shut the fuck up. Yeah, well, in the first fucking who knows how many episodes, I reckon I went, oh, yeah. Every fucking time the guest would breathe. And I didn't know how many weeks in a row I'd watch myself do it and be like, bro, you're still doing it. What are you doing? I feel like now I've finally gotten to a bit more of a comfortable position of not. I still accidentally miscue myself as to my turn to speak. You know, I do make this mistake every now and then, but I've made a good conscious effort to just shut the fuck up and let them do their thing. And it's like there's this Macklemore lyric from the song Growing Up with Ed Sheeran, and it says, the quickest way to happiness, learning to be selfless, ask more questions, talk about yourself less. And if that ain't one of the most truest things I've ever heard in my life, like every time I silence myself, I have to get it going. I have to I have to ignite the flame, right, as a host. But as soon as I do, and I can learn. I gain so much wisdom from every single fucking person that has come on. I gain so much wisdom from every single person I talk to at the coffee shop or at the gym or on a night out or on the phone or in my family. Like, every time you silence yourself, you learn, okay? Someone's either telling you valuable information from a sense of truth, or you're learning about dumb shit that they've experienced. And both of them are just as valuable. You can either get steered towards your path, or you can get recorrected back onto it. Like, just because someone has been an idiot and made incorrect choices doesn't mean that you can't learn from their mistakes. Like, every person has elevated me and lifted me up and helped me out in a way that never would have happened if I wanted to control the room and talk the whole time. Yeah, it's been cool. One thing that I notice that I do a lot as well is every guest that comes on, they'll just hit me with a gem or two, and I really notice the gems. The gems stand out. In fact, I write a lot of shit down in my notes on my phone once I'm going back and editing it, because if I'm not going to be trying to absorb the information that's coming at me, what the fuck am I doing, you know? I'm in extensive research with the people I just spoke to. I watch them back for fucking 10 hours. So I completely lost my train of thought, but it was something to do with like finding the gems inside of everyone's fucking conversation and the pieces, and it's it's evaporated, bro. Something to do with everyone has something but it's true. Everyone has so much value to bring to my conversation. And in the beginning, I was so excited and I remember my point. As soon as I started a new one, I remembered my point. That's fucking so good. In the beginning, I was so concerned about reaching out and sitting down with all these mainstream celebrities and musicians and rappers and fucking superstars and the fucking Spaniards, you know what I'm talking about? But my whole view of who I want to sit down with is no longer concerned on who I already know. I want to talk to cunts I don't know. I obviously want to keep talking to my friends. My fucking friends are what got me here. My friends are the ones that are in my actual life. They're my favorite people to talk to. But in terms of like reaching out and cold messaging, like having people I don't know anything about come on until they come on, fuck, that's a good feeling. That's just so good to get to to get to know someone is such a dope feeling, you know? And the point I had before was that it's funny that for everyone that has come on and given me their little gem, and most of the time, it's because I just thought of a whole new thing I want to talk down. But for everything that they've given me, whether it be spontaneously or whether I've asked out of a place of curiosity for myself in my own life, it's value I now give on to the next guest. And it's like every episode, 50% of that is from the old episode, 50% of that is for the next episode, you know? And then the next guest comes on and I'll discuss shit I just fucking talked about with the last guy. Look what I learned, bro. Hear me out. And then he'll be like, now you hear me out. And I'll be like, shit, guess what? I'm telling the next guy. And then I'll just hear me out to him. And it's such an awesome, constant, ever-growing amount of information and experience and knowledge and wisdom and lessons and opinions. Like, it's really cool, actually. And this other little side thing that I was going to go down was that on the subject of wanting to ask questions about the real world I'm experiencing outside of this podcast, because I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if it'll make sense, but what this is yes, it's a diary from a personal perspective, but I also understand it for what it is, and it's a show. It's a once a week show that people tune into, and there's people that have tuned in from the beginning till now, and it's an obligation of mine to be able to present them quality of content, not just something to listen to. It has to be quality. For someone to give me the time, I have to take at least double that time to provide it with substance, you know? And because it's a show, I do organize a conversation to work differently on camera with people listening than if it was just me and that person in the room. I understand that aspect, but when I have problems in my actual life and I come here and I'm like, hey, if you had have done this, how would you have felt? Or did you make this choice and decision because of this? And I'm actually using internally examples for me, and they can discuss it. Like, it's been a really good way to deal with things and heal from things and figure things out. And it might not be even from a place of sadness. It might be from a place of curiosity. I might be like sitting down with someone who's on a business adventure and in recent time or in longevity, or I could be sitting down with someone who's heavily involved in a sport that I'm interested in, or someone who's creative, like, and expressing themselves through content or through music or art, or I could be sitting down with someone who's into fitness and health, and I want to pick their brain. And really, I do use a lot of proper examples of it, but I also do some things for me and me alone, and that's been something that I've never expected to be able to have the podcast provide me when I started this journey. It's also provided me with the separation from my real world, as well as incorporation to my real world. I can also separate it, you know, like I had a boss say to me one time, you can't take your problems to work. And what he meant was, it's not that you can't ask for advice, but if you're in an argument with your missus, you don't bring that tension to work. And the same goes vice versa. If you've had a shit day and your boss has yelled at you, or your coworkers have pissed you off, or your apprentice fucking left your fucking tool bag on the tray and you lost some shit out of the back, and you don't take those problems home. It's not your missus or your kids or your mum's burden to bear because someone else in a different environment has pissed you off. So in a way, what you can use things for is a distraction, a removal, a non-reactive response system to your current environment. And you can distract yourself with a new environment and almost let your subconscious kind of play on it for a while. And what the podcast has done for me is given me that distraction a lot of times. If someone has fucking pissed me off hard, instead of sitting in anger and plotting and scheming revenge tactics, I've got work to do. So I just get to work and or I'm fucking get something ready, or I set the cameras up, or I have people coming over. And in times of, more seriousness, when I'm going through shit that life's dealt me, nothing more intense than anyone else has gone through, just everyone understands a shit situation. Instead of sitting around in sorrow, I've got something to do. I've got notes to write. I've got fucking editing to get done. I've got a guest coming over in half an hour and I better prepare for it. And then when the guest comes, I've got a conversation to have for a couple of hours. Like, that's a good distraction because I'm no longer sitting in my response system to my environment and I've removed myself from it. And then I think what's happening is I think I'm dealing with shit subconsciously. It's very beneficial in my case because I can actually slip some things into the conversation. But when I come back to it later, I have a whole new view on it. And instead of sitting in my shit, I'm out of it, looking down at what it is. And I'm like, I'm not going in there. Like, I'm happy to fucking look for the fucking shit I need with a stick from a distance, but I'm not jumping in that shit. Fuck that. And I think it's because I have responsibility. I think that without responsibility and without purpose and without commitments and things like this, then I don't think we have much choice but to feel whatever we have to feel out of our control, I think you can only stop feeling the human response system when you have overridden it with a task. And that's what a good thing about work is. I've been trying to tell that to I was telling it to a lot of people. There's not many people in my life I need to tell it to anymore, but a job isn't just for the paycheck. A job is for a hell of a lot more than that. And number one, it's to give you something to do. Those cunts that have all the money in the world and just sit around all day, I guarantee they're not happy people. The richest people in the world, they still go to the work. They still have a job. The rappers are still fucking in the studio every day. They got enough money to fucking chill. They don't need to be doing that shit. Look at Justin Bieber. The kid's probably worth $500 million or something. He's probably in the studio at least 25 hours a week. I'd bet money on it. At least working 25 hours a week, And this has been something that has been very fucking beneficial to distract myself. There's I always think of this scene in the fucking, what's that bitch? Not Lady Gaga. Katy Perry. So there's this scene in the Katy Perry documentary. I think it's the documentary. I could have been watching something else, but I'm pretty sure I was watching this thing I don't even remember how many years ago. It was with a girlfriend at the time. And I remember there was a scene in it. I'm pretty sure it was a documentary, but she was married to Russell Brand, who's a fucking G, by the way. If you don't know Russell Brand, trust me. I love Katy Perry, but I'll pick Russell in the divorce every day of the week. He texts her something like, "We're getting a divorce," or fucking, "Yo, check out these divorce papers," or something. But he basically texted her divorce time. And she was actually getting ready to go on stage and perform at one of her tours, I think in a different country than that. I think they were in different countries. And he fucking texted her then. Don't get me wrong, dick move, but it's my boy, it's my boy. I got to pick him. And bruh, she's just fucked, obviously. Like, she's a wreck. I'm not saying she was being a little bitch about it. Like, she should have been crying. She was crying hard. Just destroyed. And she had a moment and a decision to make where, like, everyone's at the show. She's going up in, like, I swear he did it like half an hour or less before her. She was going on stage. So she has, who knows how many thousands, 10, 20, 30, 40,000 people screaming out her name. So she's just crying, and then, like, she's on this platform that's about to lift her up into the middle of the stage. And she's, like, still crying and shit. But then as she gets to the top, she just kind of, like, swipes her hand down and, like, has this big smile and then performs for these people. I don't know how many. And she just went from crying her heart out to the best version of herself for presentation. And she gave these people what they came here for, you know, what they wanted her to be. And I think that might have been the most healthiest response system to such a terrible situation. She's got to quickly feel it. Fuck, bro. But then, like, the show must go on. You know, what's she going to do? Tell everyone nah. These people have taken out time off work or something, or, like, traveled to get to her show, paid money, gotten ready, planned. Who knows how long people would have been. For people to go to a show like that, it's something that's not just a spontaneous thing of, oh, man, that would have been nice if we went. It's like, bro, that was the plan. So she gave the people what she wanted. I guarantee she gave a great performance. I'm pretty sure she was crying and shit, like, in some of the sad songs and shit, but, like, that's probably just a deep, emotional fucking show you want to see in the sad songs anyway. And afterwards, she would have came out of that place back into her real world of solitude and, like, almost been able to assess it from an outside perspective for something that she might not have been able to do for a fucking long time if she didn't have something to do quickly. And I'm not saying at all, like, what I've fucking gone through is any fucking thing to do with what Katy Perry just went through. But what I'm saying is, like, when I am experiencing the downs of the roller coaster, which it's a ride at all times, I've had times where I'm literally just sitting in this room down bad, like, fuck, bruh, what the fuck is this? And then the door knocks, or my phone rings, or my phone dings, or someone will yell out and someone's let someone in through the side and they've been like, yo, this person's here. And then I just fucking press record, press start, introduce my guests, and the show must go on. And it takes me out of that place. It's sick. And you don't just need to use a show as an example, because as my boss said once, you don't bring your problems to work. You're there for that task. You're there to present the best version of yourself. And a fucking good example would be, like, I never knew the problems my parents had when I was a kid, and I guarantee they were going through their fucking shit. But when me and my siblings walked into a room as kids, the show started and they were mum and dad. They were presenting the best versions of themselves for the people, you know, and by the people, it was us as kids. And that would have taken them away from that moment, you know, and then they would have been able to come back to whatever it was they were dealing with later. I think to have as many distractions as you can is good. And because of this reason, what I've realized lately is that I used to complain about the fucking editing, and I used to complain about the mundane, tedious shit that had to go into doing it, and not just the fun moments of the conversation. But now I'm fucking grateful for it. What was once a burden is now a escape. It's and by no means hear me out. By no means am I trying to say if I'm not doing the podcast, I'm sitting around feeling sorry for myself. Like, that's not happening. I'm saying, like, I'm assuming most people there is times when I am. I'm saying that there has been moments when I'm not my natural, charismatic, fun, engaging self, and I'm a bit more unhappy with the situations that have happened. Like it's not something I ever sit in for a long period of time. But I think it's important to know that everyone does feel this way. It's one of the things that I think a lot of people think when they are feeling like shit, they feel like they're going through it alone. But the truth is, like, they're not. I like to say that everyone's just taking turns. There ain't a single person that's happy 100% of the time. When I'm happy, I'm like, fuck, I feel bad for whoever's turn it is, but fuck, thank God not it. You know, fucking honestly. And when it's my turn and I feel like shit, I'm just like, you're welcome. Like, it's my turn, you know. We're all just taking turns of feeling like shit. So in my moments when it's my turn to feel like shit, I have a distraction. And it's like, fucking thank God for the mundane bullshit. Thank God. Yeah, it's cool. What was once was a fucking bullshit task has become something I'm grateful for, you know? Because when I need it, it's there. It's there. Yeah. 100 episodes is fucking 100 episodes is dope, but 100 episodes is just the start, yo. I promise you. Like, I've been practicing. I'm still practicing. Yeah, there's been some fucking things and lessons and things I didn't expect to happen through doing this, but I can't wait to see what else is to come from it. It'd be sick to be able to monetize this, you know, get this to a position. And I do feel what it's becoming, and I'm noticing the drive behind certain components that were not there in the beginning. Keep in mind, I do have a career that I'm working inside of, and I do have other adventures I'm trying to juggle and balance. And I do want to start watering a lot of seeds that I've planted. But for this, and what this is this is about to take another few leaps and bounds in evolution. It is. I can feel what it's about to become. I can always feel when something's about to go good, you know? It'd help if I could feel when someone's going to go bad. You know when I know someone's going to go bad is because someone's been going good for so long. And then when someone's been going good for so long, it's about to take a big dip. And then when it's at its dip and it's no longer dipping, I feel an inclination, and then I'm like, oh, rah, some shit's about to be good again, you know? But it's only when it's back up there again where I'm like, I'm looking around like, oh, fuck, bro. Look down there. Sucks, bro. Oh, my God. And then I'm just down, you know? Yeah, it's crazy. Fuck if I know what I was just talking about just then. The future of what I want it to become. So I want to continue to gain as much guests as possible. I'm going to really triple down because I've been doubled down on my cold messaging and cold calling lately. I want to expand my network in a way that has fucking really been an eye-opener as of lately. It's been sick meeting you, can't say. It's been really dope. Like, I've actually made good friends through this journey. I have. I only met them the first time they came on, and I'm still in active communication with some people. There's other people I speak to a bit more of a content creation kind of arrangement, and you know, obviously I engage with a lot of the people that I've created this channel episode with, but I've actually created some IRL friends as well, which has been dope. And I've had opportunities to expand my horizon for possibilities outside of just podcasting because of this, which has been awesome. But what has been really cool as well is like there's been like, this podcast really is a true example of how I like to live my life off camera. You know, I've had mates come on that I'm still mates with that I met when we were fucking, before we were walking. You know, those mates have come on the podcast because I'm still mates with those people. Like, I've got mates that have come on from primary school. I've got mates that I haven't seen since primary school. I've got mates that have come on since multiple high schools. That I've had mates come on from TAFE classes I've been in, or companies I no longer work at, or old apprentices and shit. I've had like people come on in groups of families. I've had like a half dozen entire sets of siblings come on, you know, and holy fuck, am I just the luckiest guy in the world to have these people. It's, you know what's funny too, is it's like, it's not actually a testament to me. Like, I get it. I'm a sick cunt. I know I am. I watch myself every week, right? I know. It's turned into confidence. But I only have the people in my life because I fucking do not let them go, you know? Like, people will be like trying to like escape me as a friend, and I'm like, no. I'll find a way. I'll just keep fucking bringing them back in. I do not let people. And then when someone has like a sibling or a brother or a sister, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it too. You're my boy now. You're my girl now. Let's go. It's like, always wonder as well. Like, I wonder if my mates ever like, bro, what the fuck are you always hanging out with my siblings for? You know, like, oh my God, it's so funny. Yeah, I've got family members that I haven't had on the podcast yet. Can't wait to get them on as well. That'll be very fun. I've had a lot of lessons learned this week when it comes to getting boys on in the same room. Like, we've tried to get like 5 or 6 guys on camera at the same time, and only 4 mics. That shit don't work. So don't expect to have any 5-person podcasts for a fucking while. Yeah, but I would like to start incorporating a couple more things, you know. I'm going to try out some segments. I remember I started off this year doing an Egypt segment. That was a fun chapter to go down. I enjoyed it. It just, I don't know, I didn't lose interest. I still find it interesting. It stopped becoming something that I was enjoying doing. I still find Egypt to be fun. I was just over discussing because I was only researching to discuss it, and it kind of ruined a lot of the fun of what I originally enjoyed learning about Egypt was for in the beginning. It was curiosity, but because I had a weekly deadline of information I had to learn to have to say, yeah, it kind of ruined it. So that was a nice segment, but I would like to start incorporating a bit more segment based components to the podcast, you know. That'd be cool. But I thought, you know, fuck it, my phone's been fucking going retarded. I'm so glad the word retarded's back. You know what I mean? Like, did anyone else realize that, like, faggot's back and retarded's back? I hope it's back, because, like, I'm putting it out. All right. I'm going to try and get through a lot of these questions. So thank you to everyone who has asked. There's a fucking few. I'm not going to say who asked these questions, all right? But for everyone who doesn't know, I put up a thing on Instagram and it said for episode 100, I want to do a bit of a Q&A. So ask away, get as deep or as dumb as you want, and I'll try and get to anything anyone has to say. But the first question says, I will not say the name of what this person said, but they said, how many girls' names have you taken down? All right. And this girl's name is this fat girl. And you fucking son of a bitch. I've fucked one fatty, all right? I have. I've fucked one fatty, okay? It was not a good experience. It was not fun. It had to get done in the moment. I don't regret doing it, but I will not be doing it again. So how many? There's been one. And this motherfucker is asking shit I can't ask. Damo, you go fuck yourself, all right? Fucking, I'm not answering any of that shit. All right. English or Spanish to having a conversation day to day. Obviously English, but if I'm looking for myself a señorita, I'm gonna pick Spanish every day of the week. I've been actively trying to teach myself Spanish for a little bit. I'm not gonna try and do it right now on camera for everyone because I'm gonna try and get this out in one take, and I don't want to have to record myself saying it 10 times to get it out there. But I'd like to feel like if I went to Spain, I'd be able to get myself around a little bit. And, you know, I guess if I ever found myself with permiso to sit down with a beautiful señorita, like, oh my God, I can't help but look at some of these Brazilian girls online and not want to get up from my seat because I'm so pissed off that they're all so far away, you know. There's any type of Espanol, South American, Brazilian, Puerto Rican, like, my brother asked a question he knew I was going to get deep with. English or Spanish? It's Spanish every day of the week. Spanish, Spanish, Spanish. Favorite guest you've interviewed? Motherfucker, that's a good one. Fuck, that's a good one. I know everyone listening's like, this motherfucker better be saying me, right? But I think I'd have to obviously say my mum. I got to interview my mum. That was a good episode for me. My mum's the most important person in my world. She's always going back and forth with me saying, you know, when you get a girlfriend, you're gonna have to start putting her first. And I'm like, I gotta be honest, Mum, I just don't think I could do that. Mum's always been number one person in my world. Number one guest, I'd have to say, was my mum. So that's my answer. Biggest highlight since starting the pod. Biggest highlight. By this, I'm guessing you're meaning like biggest moment. I don't know if I'm going to be able to give one answer, but what's been really cool is I'm a believer in manifestation. I really am. I believe that when you think something and speak something or write it out or get it out of just the original thought and put it somewhere, whether it be tell a friend, tell yourself, write it down, put it into a song lyric, post it online, make a status about it on Facebook, tweet it. I feel like as soon as you do that with intention, if you don't just make a wish upon a star, the biblical verse is so accurate when it says, ask and you shall receive. If you ask, it means that you want it. And I believe if you really want it, you'll work towards it. And I think the power of manifestation is real because when you put something out there, I believe when you have intent behind it, it means that you are either actively, intentionally moving towards it, or you're actually letting your subconscious do a lot of the work and you're living, as long as you're living as best as you can to yourself, it will come to life on its own. And I think that I've noticed a lot of times by doing this podcast that I have seen people's plans come to life. Easy example was I had Fossey, shout out to Fossey, my boy Fossey. He came on a day or two ago and he was in our bit, we were discussing him going hunting with our mate Adam very shortly. And the first time I ever filmed an episode with Fossey, almost, a year and 10 months ago or something crazy, a year and 9 months ago, it was the same day when me and Adam shot our podcast too. So all of us were in the room for the very first time and I shot one with Fossey and then I shot one with Adam, or I did it vice versa. The next time Fossey came back on for a podcast, it was about how he wants to get into hunting. He wants to get into it. And I'm like, I know the guy, bro. And Fossey wanted to get into shooting and that, and then Adam's the man for that kind of shit, so put them in a room. And then when Fossey came on this week again, it's like, what are you looking forward to coming up, bro? And he's like, me and Adam are going hunting. And to see shit like that, like, and I have the fucking, it's not just a memory of what I once remembered, it's a fucking, I've got that shit on my computer. It's online for everyone to see. And it's a shame it's not going to come out into this episode 100, so I will do it again, but I had my mate Jay come on and I had done my best and I actually got it pretty sweet to get him on as soon as he was about to become a dad. And he was the first one out of the lads to have a child, and I got him on the day of he was expecting. So it was like, bro, at any point now we're going to have to wrap this up, but let's just clear this out. And he came back on again this week, and his beautiful daughter is like a year and a bit old now. And I got to speak to him again from a lens of what are you looking forward to what's it been like, you know? That's been fucking so cool. I've had mates come on and shout out to yous. I won't give away who yous are because it's about money and things like that. But they've gone from property ownership to now looking at getting a second. And I've had some come on who haven't even been in the property market yet to now actively being in two. They have two investments. I've had mates come on who wanted to get into training and gym and lose weight and they've lost fucking 25 kilos. And I watch people evolve and I get to capture it. Like the highlight is having people come back on. And yeah, there's a lot of shit for me personally that are highlights, hearing my mates' stories about when they first saw their kid for the first time or how they've or hearing people's experiences, how they've taken leaps and bounds inside their sport or endeavor, or hearing people's journeys of how they've done a similar thing with content and now they're at fucking 100,000 subs or something on YouTube. Like, there's been a lot of cool moments like that, but the best moments are when I hear people's plans have come to life. Like, that shit changes everything. That's something I never fucking expected to experience. And I don't mean that in a way that like I didn't believe my friends were going to achieve what they were going to achieve. I just never expected in my whole life I'd be able to capture those moments. It's been unreal, you know. I'm proud of my people, eh? I fucking love everyone and I keep everyone in my life intentionally because I love them. And I do my best to put people on display. And yeah, it's a gift for me to get another episode out and it's practice rounds and spending time with people I love, but I want to show off my people. You know, this is my army. And we're all leaders of our own battles, but we are an army. And this channel is my army. Shout out to the people that have come on for the first time. Like, yous are in, yous are all in. If I've met you doing the podcast on this journey so far, join the crew. There's no leader yet, although Doxy's cult is revolutionary and taking leaps and bounds. If you haven't heard about it, first rule about Doxy's cult, once you hear about it, you're automatically in. Second rule of Doxy's cult, you can never leave. Unfortunately, we're all happy to be members of it, but we'll get to Doxy's cult another day. But I really mean it. I'm fucking proud of the people I know. Every single one of you, like, you have all changed a lot since you've come on. It doesn't matter if it was the fact that you've come on in the last 30 episodes ago or if you came on 70 episodes ago. Like, everyone is evolving as people. And it was an awesome realization one time that I got that I'm in the origin story of great people, you know? And that was a nice moment of realization. Like, fuck, I'm one of them. I'm with these people. They say you're a product of the people you spend the most amount of time with, and I spend my time with people who level up consistently. So I'm fucking proud of my people. I love you. And yeah, the highlights have been those moments when people have come back on and reshared the things that they've been looking forward to from a lens now of experience. Yeah. All right. Dope question. That was a fucking dope question. Biggest highlights inside the bar. But I love you. Keep doing what you're doing. Thanks, Mom. Joey. Shout out to Joey. Love you too, Joey. Joey Yakub, if you haven't seen that episode, Joey Yakub is one of the boys I made at TAFE, and I'm very, very thankful to know him. Joey, how'd you get yourself a shout out? I'm not even meant to be reading the fucking people's names in this. Fucking Joey. I said I'd get through it in one take, and guess what? The camera died. So I didn't. But to be honest, I'm not even sure at what point it died. Like, I was reading shit off my phone for a little bit. Went from biggest highlight. Shout out to Joey. This question was most memorable crash you had. And I was trying to explain the fact that when I first read it, I thought you were talking about crashing when it came to computers and hard drives and shit like that. But based on the motherfucker that asked the question, his they are referencing when I was younger, I used to crash a lot of cars. I crashed a lot. I've had a very fortunate situations in my life when I have been allegedly responsible for certain crashes, and every time I came out safe and every time the other people did too. I have owed a lot of money in damages. Like, bruh. 1 year, I can't even say it. I was just such a reckless kid when I was younger. I really was stupid. It was just past, present, and future me had no concern for each other. And my most memorable crash was the time you crashed out the front of Glenwood Shops, you motherfucker. That's my most memorable crash. You remember that one? Yeah, how's that for an answer? Touch wood, I've been good for a fucking long time. I have. Oh, hey, motherfucker, how about the time you just crashed through your own shed? How about that? Yeah. Nah, but I've been pretty lucky on the road for a while, so let's just keep that wood on there. But yeah, there was years there where I was just fucking paying fucking a new claim every week for fucking quite a long time. All right, what do you find the most challenging part of your life right now? Bruh, there ain't no question about it. The most challenging part of my life is I'm a codependent cunt, to be honest. Everyone that knows me should know that. I am constantly needing interaction, yeah? I'm just like, play, motherfucker, pick up. They don't pick up. I'll call the same guy 10 times, and when you find the answer, it's like, you got 30 seconds at least? Like, I just love human interaction, and it's obviously got some kind of fucking issue behind it. For whatever, to be honest, I've got a psychologist. I'm just going to fucking tell that cunt to figure it out. I'm paying it anyway, so it's his fucking job to figure this out. But, like, even if I'm not talking to someone, I'm listening to other people talk. I'm a podcast junkie. It's all I do. I just absorb. Speaking of podcast junkie, if anyone who's interested, I was actually looking today. I'm on episode 608 of the Joe Rogan Journey, and it's been 1 year. All right, so if you wanted to see how many days you could get, how many episodes you could get within 12 months, I'm around the 12-month period. I'm in that month vicinity of when I started. 608 episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience. So basically what I'm trying to say is Joe Rogan can go fuck himself. I don't want to hear his voice anymore. I've only got 600 episodes to go. I will get up to date, but I feel like that's a pretty good stint. 608 episodes is, he does around 3 hours an episode. That's just, not all of them are. Let's just say, it's just, some of them are 2, some of the 3. Let's just say 2.5 hours to be generous. 2.5 hours, 600 or so episodes, 6, 12, 15, 1,500 hours. 1,500 hours I'm fucking pumped out. That's that's like fucking 2 months, 60 something, 65 days or 67 days, something like that. 2 months. So in 12 months I've listened to 2 months of that alone of Joe Rogan's fucking voice. It was a ridiculous challenge to embark on. I'm going to finish it. So I've already started it, but that's how much of a attention junkie I am. What was the fucking question? Oh yeah, what do you find the most challenging part of your life right now? So because I'm a very codependent person, I've also always enjoyed having a girlfriend. I like having someone to spend time with. I love love. I love really quickly, really hard. The boys know this. Like, day one, I love her. Like, I'm that guy. And it's like, you know, I might match a girl on Hinge, and it's like, bro, I found my soulmate type shit. All jokes aside, though, I do love having a girlfriend, and I do just jump into them really quickly, get myself in long-term relationships, and I enjoy it while I'm in it. There's been millions of reasons why they have ended, but what I'm trying to weigh up now with my biggest challenge is, even though I am constantly being drawn to the idea of having a partner. I don't have time for one, and it's been a nice reality check. Like, you might want one, but you can't necessarily give them what they're after. You know, to be a partner, you have to be present. You have to be around. You have to be there. And lately, I've had the first time in my life a realization of like I'm not that guy at the moment in my life. I don't have time. Don't have time for a missus. So my biggest challenge right now is the constant day-to-day juggle of investing that spark somewhere and then having to back out. You know, that's my biggest challenge. Grinding and temptation. That's my biggest challenge. So, good question. I really liked that question, actually. In a battle to the death, who would win, a crocodile or a hippo? You're fucking kid. In a battle to the death, I think I could take on a crocodile. I don't think I could take on a hippo. So for that reason, I would say a hippo would win against a crocodile. I'm pretty sure a hippo has the strongest bite in the animal kingdom in general. The fuckers weigh up to like tons. They actually weigh tons. I don't know if it's 2 or 5, but they weigh tons. I think they can weigh up to 8 tons or something crazy. I could be completely wrong with that, but they're at least up to 2 tons. And I'm pretty sure it's the animal that kills the most amount of people in Africa, a hippo, you know. So a hippo versus a crocodile, hippo would win. Me against a hippo would win. Me against a crocodile, it would most likely win, but I have a chance against the hippo. I have a chance against a crocodile. A way higher chance than I would if I went up against a hippo, that's for damn sure. All right. Why did you start your potty? Good question. I do like this question. I started the potty. It's a hard question to answer, but I've answered it before. I'll try and answer it again. To show you what the puzzle is of why is almost impossible. All I can show you is pieces of what the puzzle is made up of to get to why. So one of the pieces would be, as a young kid, I really loved going out to parties every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I loved the feeling of meeting new people. I loved it. And it was at a time in my life when I realized that most older people don't have as many friends. I'm very fortunate. Both my parents have got, I guess, a good network of people to consider friends. And I know a lot of other kids' parents didn't have that. And I noticed that. And I took that from my parents. Like, it needs to be intentional to hold on to friendships. And I wanted to not just hold on to them, but continue the same feeling of meeting new people every week. I was lucky at that age. I found Joe Rogan for the first time and got introduced into what the podcasting realm was, of just capturing conversations between individuals. And in that moment, as a young 15-year-old kid, I knew this was going to be something I did. And it took a long time to put my finger out. I made excuses along the way as to why I hadn't started. But eventually I got a good bit of wisdom from someone who was a mentor to me at one stage in my life. And he said, you've just got to start. It ain't going to be good in the beginning. It's going to be shit, but it won't get better if you don't start. So from that moment on, I've been doing it. Not from that moment on. It still took me a little bit of time after he said it. But when I got my opportunity, I did start. That's why I started. What advice would you give to someone that wants to do what you do? That is a good question. I don't know what you mean. If it might be in regarding to podcasting or any form of content, I would say the only advice I can give you is don't do it for anyone else other than yourself. If I did this for clicks or views or attention from things that I know YouTube can bring, and I do believe will bring, trust me, that's a different story. But if I did it for that, I wouldn't do it. It's quite obvious just look down your screen. There ain't that many views there. I think that the advice I would give would be delay your gratification. Trust the process. Be the harsh truth of judgment towards yourself and take it on board as constructive criticism. Learn to be friends with yourself and understand yourself better, and stay consistent. As long as you stay consistent, it will get better, and you can't break away from it. I usually upload every Friday. Guess what? You upload every Friday from now until the day you never want to upload again. Because the day you don't, the day you'll stop. Move heaven, move the earth. Quit your job or just pull a sickie. Like, figure out a way to get the episode out by Friday. Because you can. You know, you can. If you can find a way to brush your teeth or eat lunch or watch TV that day, if you can find a way to do any of these things, you can get a video out that day. It's not as hard as you think. It really isn't. But if you don't do it for yourself and you don't stay consistent, there is no reason to start other than curiosity. But if you're going to start with curiosity, find out how to harness that and become curious about what it's going to be like after 100 episodes. That's what you should focus on. Not how's it going to feel to start. Not how's it going to feel to give this a go and hope that it works within fucking 6 months. Be curious enough to know what it will feel like after 100 episodes. 100 weeks, 100 vlogs, 100 Instagram posts, 100 daily challenges. Start whatever the fucking thing you're about to do is with the curiosity of what will this feel like after 100 goes. That's how I would answer that. What's your plans for your future? I would say my plans for my future are grand. They are definitely self-expected and highly set. I plan to... I find myself to have a lot of room for output. I have lots to give. It's why I love being in a relationship. It's why I consider myself to be good at being a partner. At least from my perspective, I don't know how it feels from their perspective, but I have a lot to give, and the podcast is going to be one thing that I continue to do for as long as I am physically able to do it for. Unless, of course, there's a fucking global blackout and I can't upload something, then I will see if there's an analog fucking Morse code version people can listen to. Like, the podcast is going to be something that I continue to evolve. I'd like to move myself, and I'll get to this. I have leaps and bounds left to do inside of my trade, and there's more certificates and trades that I want to get done within that side of my career. I want to have my own business take off shortly enough. My plans for my future are to have multiple versions of income. I think a lot of people have these belief systems, and I don't have to be the best in the world at anything. I just want to know that I've done my best at everything, because I'd hate to look back with regret, you know? And with my new mindset and realization that I don't have much time to give other than on myself, I still would love to be a dad and a partner or a husband, but dad mostly. I've always wanted to have 6 boys. And as many girls as it takes to get there. But now I'm thinking, if I don't meet the right person until I'm 50, so be it. If I don't meet them till I'm 70, so be it. I'm going to have fun along this journey, and I've got shit to do, you know? If the person comes along, I'll stop the fucking moon from fucking rotating the earth for that person. But if it's not the time for the right person, I'm good. I got my people. I got my friends, I got my family, and I got my mission. Like I'm sweet. So because of that fact, I don't know necessarily now if I'm aiming towards having this. If it comes presented to me, that's great. But I guarantee I'll find fulfillment in the things that I go down, you know. And I've self-diagnosed some missions that need to get accomplished, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'd love to have a big center and a main hub in the future where I can collectively have all my endeavors built into one location with podcast studio and creation and photography studio with, you know, video shoot scenes. And I'd love to have an office and a warehouse and a factory and a workshop for my trade and my business in that regard. And I'd love to have a fitness center with my gym and my sauna. I'd love to have this. I'd love to have a big, beautiful space. This is my dream. I would love to have a big, beautiful space for all of my endeavors that I want to go down on in the same facility. Yeah, that was what I would want for the future. How do you find people to speak on your podcast? I usually find people nowadays just by Instagram. You know, I see anyone that pops up on a For You feed, or I'll just go down a mission for an hour or two of just click, see people that pop up. It's good too knowing a bunch of other podcast channels because through them you can see guests they've had on. They can lead you to guests, then you go on guests, they can lead you to channels, through channels they can lead you to guests, and it's a bit of an awesome game in that regard. You know, there's a lot of swapping going on from host to host. Or I just see anyone that's putting out ads for businesses that they've been promoting on Instagram, and I'll reach out to those people. Or I might see rappers and things that I'm interested in, and then go on to their photographers and videographers, if not reach out to the rappers themselves, and then through those videographers reach out to them and check out those guys and see the people that they capture. And if they're capturing people with an online presence, then there's more guests. Like, there's a million ways to find guests. I just do all of it through Instagram. That's the easiest way to answer it. Do I reckon the shooting to Trump was set up or real? There's no question that was a real shooting. No one's allowed to question it, in my opinion, because someone died. There's a man who got shot, and he was a father, and he had a partner, and I think he had 2 children, and he was a firefighter. A man died. To deny that denies his life from being meaningful. The conspiracy side of why he was shot, yeah, let's fucking cook. Let's pick it apart. Like, there's no question Trump's been on his, he used his first life. You know, he used his second life. As Andrew Tate says, you only get 3. Third one, they try to kill you, and in Andrew Tate's words, they'll never commit suicide. Let's just throw that out there. So I think they tried to kill Trump because he was making monumental changes to a monetized system of companies and collected groups profiting in ways of war or pharmacy or sickness and famine for a lot of people, and keeping the low so the high can continue to get higher. I think that's how a system has been built for a long time. And I believe, and I'm no political expert, that Trump's come and shaken the pot on a lot of things. There's a million conspiracies. I don't know which one to believe. The crypto market has been seeing high promises with Trump's return, and, you know, the end of war in places like Russia and Ukraine. And I don't think he'll do too much between Palestine and Israel, but there's a lot that Trump promises, and I think that there's a million people that wanted to take him out for doing so. So I don't believe that just some kid decided to just pick up a gun and shoot. There's been some kind of manipulation at least involved in some way, you know. But what is interesting is that kid that did take that shot, Thomas Crux, I think the kid's name was, this 17 or 19-year-old kid, who looked like there's no question why he didn't hit him if you've seen the photo of him. But it's what's interesting too is they realized pretty quickly after that, leading up to the assassination attempt, he had spent something like 130 hours playing a video game on his Steam engine on his computer of protect the president from assassination attempt. So like that was his fucking research, you know. He He was literally prepping for it. It was never a random idea to take place on. It was something that at least the kid put thought into with all that time prep in that video game leading up to it. He knew the roof he wanted to go to, knew the ladder. Like, it's just that I feel like he's had a bit of a push by companies and organizations. I'll just throw it out there. BlackRock seems to be responsible for a lot of the shit that's been going on. Question, spit or swallow? I think no matter what, I'm not kissing her after. That's all I can say about that. Do whatever you want with it. Like, obviously, I'm just grateful for the opportunity, but brush your teeth after. What was the most impactful thing someone has said on your episode, and how did it help? I'm reading this. I apologize to everyone listening. I'm reading it like a little bit of a dyslect, but what was the most impactful thing someone has said on your episode, and how did it help? Man, that's a hard question to answer. Realistically. The most impactful thing is not going to be something I'm going to be able to give you an answer off the top of my head. I apologize for, but it's definitely those things that have happened in my life that I ask about that no one else would know, and the guests would never know that they did it. They wouldn't. I'll hit him with the fuck. That was good, bro. Like, that was a fucking gem, like, that's valuable information. I'll let him know that. But for whatever those situations have been, it's all been an internal thing. And it's nice to have people on this journey of participation with me. And I love putting on a show for people to watch. And I love giving my guests a platform to be on. But personally, the best things have been a self-development, healing, understanding journey. Yeah, I apologize. I can't give you an exact answer on the exact most impactful thing, but to be honest with you, there's just been so many. There's been 100 episodes. Like, very hard to give you an exact one. What inspired you to create this channel? I guess my biggest inspiration has always been Joe Rogan. Like, I can't give any credit other than to the GOAT, He's been the biggest inspiration. At the time, we didn't have anyone doing it in Australia. We've had good channels, and they've probably been some that have been around for longer than mine, but I wasn't aware of any. I think that once I'd been doing it for a little bit, we had people like Spanion pop up in the Australian podcast scene, and he got a massive rise to attention quickly, and the guest he was getting on was inspirational. I am a fan of Spanion. I do like a lot of comedians. They inspire me to do their shit. But it is unfortunate we don't have much content creation in Australia to have local inspiration from. So to get my inspiration to start the channel, I just had to look at the biggest and the best. But to get my inspiration in real life, I get my inspiration from my friends and my family. They're the ones who inspire me. They're the people I look at. They're the people that show up every day, the best version of themselves, and move forward towards goals. And they don't move mountains every day. I don't expect them to. It's impossible. But over time, they do move mountains. So the people in my life inspire me the most. The people who inspired me to start this channel were the goats of the game. What is your vision for the Doxcast in the next 2 years? My vision for it in the next 2 years is to have it in its own location, shared facility with my other business adventures. I would like to be able to get to a position of renting it out as a studio. That's definitely something I can see it becoming. It's not something I have time for at the moment. And I would like to see the content evolve again, from everything from thumbnails to conversational flow to clipping to guests. I would like to see it evolve on a massive scale. I'd like to see the cameras improve. I'd like to see the couches improve. I would like to see my clothes that I'm wearing improve. I like the whole thing to improve. But the biggest thing for me would be to get a separate studio than the studio I'm in at the moment, for sure. I'll be there within 2 years. Have you ever not enjoyed interviewing a guest? No, I have not ever felt like I didn't want to be interviewing my guest, but I've definitely had sessions when I thought very hard for me to turn what we're doing into content. Very hard. I have not put out things in the past. There's the motherfucker who asked this is one of the guys it was from, to be honest with you. Much love. He's given me fucking so much since that day. But in the beginning, yeah, that's an example. So there hasn't been anyone that I haven't enjoyed interviewing. I've actually enjoyed them all. But there has been times when we've been doing the potty and I'm like, bro, this is ass content, like real. What's your favorite episode? What is your favorite episode of the Doxcast? I said my favorite guest was my mum. My favorite episode might have been with my brother, to be honest. I don't even know what episode it was, but we laughed a lot. That was a good episode for me personally because that was my first time really hanging out with my brother as he's been an adult. We've worked at the same company for fucking years now, and it's only the last couple months when we're tradesman and apprentice for the first time, and we're spending just boats of time together. But the first proper time when we got to sit around and laugh together was when we did the potty together. And since then, I swear to God, my brother's my best mate. Like, I've always loved my brother, but I didn't know how much of a sick cunt my brother was, other than the fact that he's my brother. My brother is one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. And all the boys know it now from watching the episode too. Like, well, my favorite episode might have been with my brother. So shout out to my brother. Where do you envision yourself 15 years from now? 15 years from now, I would like to say nicotine free. I would like to say still on my sober journey. Doing a sober journey has been a great experience so far. There's been many times where I've been thankful for it, where I have continued to do it. So I'd like to see what can come after 10 or 15 years of attempt. I would say definitely a better master of time management by that stage. I'm not the best at it yet, and it's something I'm actively trying to do, find time for all the different things I like to go down on. I'd like to be like absolutely yatted up, whole body. I'd like to just almost finish a lot of good parts of the body for tattoos. I'd like to finish a full body suit by 15 years from now for sure. And absolutely jacked, you know. The money, I don't think, whatever. Like, I'm going to have the success without the money anyway. Like, I'm going to have the comfort and freedom and opportunity to do whatever I want, even if it doesn't mean without the disposable income in my pocket. Like, I'm going to have the constant grow of businesses and investments and things to set up generationally. I don't know if the disposable income is something that I'm necessarily considering to be value to me. As long as I can provide opportunity for myself and any family I've got to participate in activities that we want to participate in and be comfortable. I would like to know what it's like to be I would like to know what it's like to have the mindset of someone who is worth $20 million without having $20 million disposable to spend. That's what I would like to be in 15 years. Yeah. How many backs have you blown out? I don't think I've ever blown out a back. I wouldn't say gorilla fucking is necessarily something I'm doing that hard to blow backs out with. I will not give away how many. I can just tell you there has been one fatty. One fatty. That's all there's been. And that's all there ever will be. One fatty. How do you deal with temptation? Temptation for me is only ever easily achieved by saying no forever. I have no moderation skills. I only have discipline. I do not know how to momentarily indulge at all. This past weekend was a fucking good example because I have my tattoo session booked in a week or 2 weeks, and I had my cash ready for it, and I decided when I was out to just fucking try the pokies with it, and now guess what? I'm not fucking got the cash anymore for my fucking tattoo. So I'm thinking of just cancelling the appointment instead of pulling actual money out of my account to do it, because that's what the cash is usually for. But yeah, in that regard, I don't have much skill when it comes to saying just a little when it comes to temptation. There is no just a little. It is yes or it is no. That's why for me, sober is the best way to live my life. That is why podcasting is something that we'll continue to do. That is why the things I do stay in my life, and the things that I enjoy usually have to be removed because I'm not good at temptation. And that's why as I said, my biggest challenge right now is honestly, it's wanting to spend time with girls. That's my hardest challenge. Like I either just want to give them as much time as I can or none. So at the moment we're saying none. So how I deal with temptation is just say no. Have you ever been in a part of your life that feels like treading water? Yeah, fucking oath, dude. That's all life is, bro. All life is treading water. You should be treading water at all times. You should be constantly trying to stay afloat. If you're just if you're buoyant, there's not enough movement happening. You haven't got enough responsibility. You haven't got enough. You're not in crazy enough water if you're not just trying to tread water. Like, I feel like what you're asking, I might be misinterpreting it, but what I'm getting at when you say tread water means doing your best to keep your head up. That's how you should always be living. You should always be doing your best to keep your head up. And if things are great, you're not doing enough. Maybe not. I've had a philosophy being given to me by a guest who said, simple man. If you're a simple man, just put your feet up and just watch TV from the moment you get home to the moment you go to bed. Like, that's, if you're happy doing it, you're happy doing it. And I don't think that's treading water. I feel like treading water is always wanting more and never feeling like you're there yet. And that's a mindset I like, and that's a mindset I want, and it's a mindset I've got. And if you've got it, be grateful for it, because it just means you're destined for more in your own perspective. It could be God telling you want more, or it could be your self-diagnosed expectation. I think, yes, I always feel like I'm treading water. I always feel like I'm just trying to get there, whether it be just another breath or just another. I surround myself in chaos and risk and opportunity, and I'd never want that to end. So if that answers your question, I hope it does. That's just how I interpreted it. How do you move forward? How do you move forward? That's how I move forward. If that, I could be misinterpreting the question, I apologize. But if you're taking it from that lens of being surrounded by crazy things, not feeling like you're going to be able to survive, I would say to move forward would just be to be patient with what you're doing and continue doing what you're doing until you see a break, until the water settles, until the waves stop crashing over you. And in that moment, take a breath, check your horizon, see what's around you, assess the situation, and then just move back forward into the chaos. Like that's it's not something I'm ever trying to get out of. It's something that I don't know if I'm answering your question properly, dude. I apologize if I'm not. I just feel like that might not have been what you're asking. How much money will it take to suck a dick? whatever amount of money it is, double it and I'll suck too. Like what game are we playing, bro? How long's the dick? How much money? How long am I sucking? Like, am I starting it or am I finishing it? Like, is it like, do I know the dick? Is it a clean dick? Like, is this in Ethereum or are we talking like in baht? How are we exchanging this money? Good question, bro. But like, I don't know. I'll send you my BSB. Would you rather sacrifice both feet? I know this question. I actually saw this and it came through as a notification. Would you rather sacrifice both feet and cure world hunger, or live in a permanent state of intense hunger and allow quadriplegic people to walk again? All right, I'm going to say that again. Would you rather lose your feet and cure world hunger, or would you rather stay hungry and all the quadriplegic people can walk again? I couldn't go without my feet. Like, I guess I would not cure world hunger. I'm sorry. I apologize. I would continue to walk around hungry. But it's intense hunger. You motherfucker. This is a good question. Oh my God. Homicide, suicide, That's the only way I can see myself getting out of this. Like, fucking guns blazing and then fucking end it myself. Like, both of those situations sound shit, bro. Well, all right, there's not too many more of these. So what's your favorite color and why? My favorite color right here. It's right here. It's the exact color of this sign. It's beautiful blue, just like my eyes, all right? Blue is obviously the best color. If anyone who wants to question me, like, fuck me dead, blue is obviously the best color. Couple more of these. What is I am dyslexic as. What is the one thing in your life that you want the most? Good question. The one thing in my life that I want the most is for the people that I choose to love to know how much I do love them. For someone who I've lost people in my life, like I'm not talking like people who have left my life. I'm talking like actually people who have passed away. And that, when my friend Luke took his own life, the feeling of me knowing that I can never tell him how much I loved him is the worst feeling, because there's nothing I can ever do. And it's coupled. I don't blame myself. It's a part of life that you have to accept. But I will never stop feeling like if he knew, he wouldn't have done what he did. Now, if I have acknowledged that that's the worst feeling and I don't let it eat me up inside, realistically, I just have done my best to learn from it. That's the worst feeling. The equal and opposite reaction would be for everyone to know how much I love them. And I feel like if you know how much someone loves you, and it's coming from an honest place of wanting you to be the best version of yourself, not from a selfish need of take. I love this person because they make me feel this way. I love this person because like they can give me so much. I love this person because I can't see myself without them. I'm going to lock them in a basement. Like that kind of love. I'm talking about a selfless place of, bro, I want you to be the best version of yourself. How can I assist you to do it? I love you because you're the most amazing person in my life at this period of time. Like, as long as people know how much I love them, that's the thing I want the most. Because I know what the other end feels like, and that's the worst. So if to be honest, if I could suggest it to anyone, if you love someone, make sure they know. You don't have to pour your heart out. Just tell them, hey, I want you to know that I love you and I want you to be the best version of yourself, and I'm here to support you. If you need anything, just ask, because I love you. That's it. So I try to do my best to tell people I love them. And that's the most important thing. What are your thoughts on the concept of having a savior complex? I like the thought of this question. I don't know what the fuck that means, but a savior complex sounds like something that I want to learn about. Google says a savior complex is... Wikipedia answers long, so bear with me. In psychology, a savior complex is an attitude and demeanor in which a person believes they are responsible for assisting other people. A person with a savior complex will often experience empathetic episodes and commit to impulsive decisions such as volunteering, donating, or advocating for a cause. A person with the complex will usually make an attempt to assist or continue to assist even if they are not helpful or detrimental to a situation, others, or themselves. It is often associated with other disorders such as schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, and is commonly used as interchangeably by the similar term messiah complex. Okay, so I'm pretty familiar with the term messiah complex, which is a completely different thing to what the savior complex is. But from what it sounds like people are... It sounds like people are trying to merge two different things together to create a terminology, and I don't think this should happen. I don't feel like you should put the same description on someone who feels an unbelievable response for assisting people in terms of empathetic episodes of volunteering and donating and advocating for a cause. We shouldn't put that type of person in the same category as a person who will continue to assist even though they are not helpful and detrimental to a situation. They are two completely different perspectives of the same act being taken on. One person in one group could be doing something that 10 people like and 10 people hate. So it's just a perspective look. So instead of shaming this person because they might actually be helping these 10, you should remove yourself. And that is what our entire earth is actually made up on. We have a way of living that works until it doesn't work for some, and they go out and start their own. And then they've got their country. And yeah, there's wars between them, but within that country and within that region, they have to separate into states. And then within the states, they actually have separated into sections and quadrants. And we have this because people don't like the way that people have been assisting their way of life. Now, this is what's happened with political ideology. This is what's happened inside of religion. Inside of religions, you have the belief system in the Almighty Christ, which has separated into ways of assisting into all the different Catholic and Protestant and Orthodox and Judaism and fucking all these other Abrahamic religions. So realistically, it's just a perspective of looking at a savior complex individual. What I get out of it is it's someone who feels the incredible need to offer with extreme need. And I think that is a good thing. Okay? It's two different things. For one person to be doing way too much that no one likes, they need to learn how to stop when people ask them to stop, because they are no longer a helper. They are now a deterrent. They are a distraction. They are a fucking liability. All right? If they can't understand they're a liability and they're not offering assistance, then that person is delusional. But for someone who feels an impulsive need to assist in forms of volunteering and causes, I think they're just they're just lost, you know? I think they're being drawn to something that is tapping into their human experience of contribution and wanting to be a part of something and not feeling enough just being the way they are. And they feel more whole being a part of something that they think matters. I think that's a good thing for a lot of people, especially if it can come from a place of wanting to help. Because people don't feel inadequate enough on their own. They feel inadequate on their own, and they don't feel adequate, I think is the word, just being alone. So they find things to be a part of anyway. That's why people join cults. That's why people join the KKK. That's why people join football clubs, or they get behind a blue or red side of a debate. People pick between Apple and Samsung, and they're on that side. And if you're an Android user, you're a fucking loser. And if you're an Apple user, you're a part of the mainstream. People are naturally drawn towards crews and groups because no one really feels enough on their own. So if people are going to get drawn towards a group that's assisting and helping, and they feel like it's their job to do so, I'm a fan. I think a savior complex is a good thing to do, as long as you can balance the belief system in letting people do what they want. If the savior complex doesn't come with controlling others, by all means, bros, do your thing. If you want to try and control others, this isn't a savior complex issue anymore. You now have tyrannical control. You now have some form of minor dictatorship, okay? All right. There are 3 more. Give them some knowledge on girls/relos. Cuz if I could give you any knowledge on girls/relos, I have got some, actually. I'm no fucking... What's that cunt that wrote that book, The Game? Whatever that cunt's name is. I'm not him by any stretch of the imagination. But what I can say is, if you feel attraction for a girl, and I'm speaking for the lads, right? Lesbians, maybe you can help. Maybe you can participate in this one. But if you feel an attraction for a girl, and you feel that butterfly early stages of love or feelings or intimacy, don't be a fucking pussy and charge it to the fucking game, bro. And what I mean by charge it to the game, I mean that feeling of being a pussy, not fucking running away from your problems. Like I think that go for it. What's the worst thing that's going to happen, lads? I got to be real with you. Like, I know a few of you, all right? And a lot of the lads run away from that feeling. And you're just scared of getting your heart broken. I think you're just a pussy, yeah? If you're making an intelligent decision like this girl's bad for me because she's living a life that will not align with mine and I'm going to have to change my path, that's different. I'm talking like if you start to feel those feelings in the beginning, fuck the fear of rejection, fuck the fear of getting your heart broken, fuck not feeling good enough or any of this shit. You fucking go for it. Ask her out. Just ask her out. I've been in love many times in my life, many times with fucking incredible, amazing girls. I have loved hard over and over again. And I've had my heart fucking jumped on. I swear to God, some of these bitches are fucking shanks and what? You know what I mean? Like that's what they do. That's what they do. But and no matter how fucking shit it's been after, it hasn't taken away from how good it was during the relationship. Like I love love. I think being in a relationship is incredible. I think just meaningless fucking's so boring. I think it's a waste of time. I think realistically sex feels better when you're in a relationship. I'm not saying I don't like fucking, like it's who doesn't, but it's way less incisive for me if there is no feelings behind it. It's just otherwise I'm just happy just to jerk off, I swear to God. So the only advice I could give is, and you asked for knowledge, there is no knowledge. I'm still trying to figure this out. The only advice I can give is what I feel the most enjoyment from, and that's being in a relationship as opposed to chasing bitches without the purpose of a relationship, you know? I find that to be just boring, because I got to be real with y'all. Most girls are fucking boring as fuck. If you find ones that aren't, you're done. Game, stop looking, bro. Stop looking. Most of them so boring. Most of them are so boring. So if you find some that aren't boring, that's it. Game over. Fucking love her. Is the Thai boy girl thingy still on Is the Thai boy girl thing still on your to-do list? If you know me, you know that I want to be in every country. I want to taste every flavor. I want to smell every smell, and I want to experience every experience. And at one point in time, get my dick sucked by a ladyboy in Thailand was on my to-do list because it's an experience, bro. I've only got one shot at this thing. What the fuck are you judging me for? But it was a time in my life when like I was just up for fucking all sorts of stupid ideas, and it is not on my to-do list anymore. It's not checked off. I've been to Thailand twice, so theoretically it should have been checked off by now, but it's not something I've got any there's too much shit to do before I get to that. So once I start getting some shit done, we'll refresh the page a little bit and we'll see what's at the top of the list. But for now, it's not on there. Good question, but last question. What are 3 things you would want to have with you if you were stranded on an island? I like. All right, good final question. 3 things I'd like to have stranded on me on an island. I would say things. Okay, so we're obviously not. I can't pick a really good looking girl. I can't pick that. And just so you know too, the best looking girl, I have to throw it out there, is a girl that's a little bit chubby, and really pretty, to the point where you think to yourself like, bro, if you weren't a little bit chubby, you'd be a supermodel. You would. That girl is the hottest girl in the world. That girl right there. So I would pick that if it wasn't things, but I would love to pick at least one of them. But if it was things, I would say stranded on an island with obviously no realistic end time to when I'm going to get home. I have this one thing and I can't describe what it is. I don't even want to give away what it is or what it looks like, but I do keep this thing on me at all times and I use it for whatever I want to use it to. I keep it in my facility or in my pocket or in my car or in my bag, wherever I am. And this thing makes me feel so safe. For me, it's a metaphorical version of my connection with God, because I am a believer in God. I'm not religious, if you didn't know that, but I'm a believer. And this thing I have is my ticket. This is not my ticket to the afterlife. It's my communication device to understandment and being heard and feeling the presence. Like I love this thing, means a lot to me. So I'd take that. That'd be my first thing. Second thing I would take is I'd probably take my Crocs. I feel like Crocs would last a fucking long time compared to a lot of shoes. And you don't need to wear them all the time. If they get wet, it won't ruin them. You are pretty durable over rocks and oysters and shit if you need to go across them. Hot sand. I guess I get used to a lot of the shit, but I feel like having the Crocs would be very useful. So I'd say Crocs. I would say my device. And I would say third thing, I reckon if I took a knife, I'd have to take a knife, a really good metal, a good either hardened steel that's been sharpened by a custom knife maker, or even as a cutthroat razor, to be honest. Like, a knife could distract me for fucking decades, eh? I would have fun just shaving all the hair off my body with this knife, to be honest with you. That'd keep me busy for a while. I think a knife would be very practical, very useful. I'd have to pick a knife. Everything else, like, you know, flint and all these other items, they will run out. I might as well just figure out ways to make them by hand, make fire and shit. And yeah, I'd keep my faith on me at all times. That'd be it. But for everyone, that was a lot more questions than I expected to be asked. So I do thank everyone for that. And I guess I'm at the point now where I got to thank everyone for making it to the end of the episode. You know, I guarantee as soon as I stop, I'm just going to be like, oh, bro, what didn't I say that for? You know, like, that was my only opportunity to do that in 100 weeks. I should have said it. But it's not something that I expected. I just improvised. I Bear Grylls the fuck out of this. I improvised, I adapted, and I overcame what was an idea that I did put effort in that didn't work out. So me doing this by myself was almost a last resort, but it was something that I've wanted to do for a while anyway, you know. It was. So thank you for making it to the end of the episode, guys. Thank you for making it to episode 100. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Thank you to everyone who's been on the channel, for starters. Thank you to everyone who's been a part of episode 100. I know you haven't been visible on the cameras, but I promise you are here in spirit with me. Like, I do this because it's fun. All right, and with 100 episodes recorded, that's not 100 sessions I've had now. I've had from every episode I've fucking lost, I've had 150. All right, I've had 150 episodes from the times the boys didn't want to do them to the didn't want to post them, to the times when I've deleted them, to the times when I forgot to have the cameras on. Like, there's been so many of these, and I do it because it's fun. And this week has been fun. Episode 100 has been fun. It's been a learning lesson. It's been the biggest and most proud thing I've ever been a part of doing this journey, because it's an embodiment of everyone that I care about. It's my diary. It's everything that I want to get out whenever I want to get it out. And it's making me the person I am today. I haven't just held on to friends through it. I've made friends through it. And I guess I've actually become friends with myself through doing it. It's been fucking awesome. All right. 100 down. Let's do another 100. And maybe by then I'll do a couple more solo podcasts. But for everyone who's made it to the end of the episode, and for everyone who's been a part of this journey in the first place, thank you.
This shit
That's
hot,
it.
boy.
Shawty catch a vibe, yeah, I had to put her on. Bought a two-seater, yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stunt.